all my notes up here prepared, so don't worry. All right, let's do this thing. Elevation Nation, we have, as Parker likes to say, a treat for you on this episode. Two guys who we were kindly introduced to by former guests as well, the Stacked Girls. So shout out to those ladies for introducing us to these two gentlemen who Parker and I had an intro call with them and instantly knew we needed to have them on the podcast because we hit it off. A little bit of older brother figures, I must say, in these two guys. We are so excited to have the minds behind FTL Bags. We got Xander Chase and Ryan Lane on the podcast this evening. Gentlemen, welcome to Elevation Nation. We are excited to get into your story, your mindset, how you are revolutionizing the modern man, the guy who does more and carries less with FTL Bags. Welcome, boys. Let's get into it tonight. We're excited to have you.
You guys have this.
Yeah, this is awesome. Super glad to be here. I think it's weird you call us older brothers. I feel young. I don't want to be anyone's older brother, but
That maybe just a year older, right? Year or two? Don't worry. I didn't say dad. That would have been way worse.
That's true. You're right. You're right.
That would have been an insult,
older
Sam.
brother.
Exactly.
I want to say, guys, this is your first podcast. This is Sam and my 155th podcast. And you already have better backgrounds than both of us. I mean, look at that window, sitting on a beautiful couch. You guys are together, which is super cool. Sam and I definitely don't do that enough. But even more importantly, we are pumped. This is a special treat for Elevation Nation because Sam and I, when we met you, we felt right away connected to you both by your story, both professionally, personally, what you're doing with, FTL. This is going to be an awesome conversation. Let's get vulnerable. Let's have, a really good, deep conversation. But let's start it off, because it is Elevation Nation, with an elevator pitch. Who are you guys?
Yeah, absolutely. Want to do that?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Ryan. This is Xander. We started FTL about 3 years ago with the idea that people shouldn't be burdened by multiple bags throughout their day. We all want to live life to the fullest. We want to be productive. We want to get up, crush the gym, go to work, have a day, and then go socialize. And we found that for multiple years, us two and people around us were carrying multiple bags, and we just didn't think that was the way it should be. And I think through the last 3 years, that mission ballooned into something greater. It was not just creating a bag to have productive days, but truly how to live your fullest life, your most productive life. And that's kind of the story behind the brand, something we've been trying to live through every day.
Yeah.
It's awesome that, you had a problem you were trying to solve, but it evolved and the mission evolved. And I think it ties perfectly your guys' tagline with the Elevation Nation mindset, right? Of just doing more, carrying less. Parker and I are constantly inviting on people who we like to call our elevators, people who are just trying to make themselves and the people around them just a little bit better, go up another floor in that elevator of life. And I think you two are doing that personally, but also with FTL and the mindset that you're bringing to really revolutionize the bag game, the fashion bag game? I don't even know what technically you would call that area, but you guys, we're going to link to FTL bags so you guys can see them. It's almost offensive to call it a bag because it's gorgeous. It is absolutely stunning. It carries so much shit. It's incredible. So amazing that we heard about FTL. We want to get into a little bit of a personal elevator pitch too. So Ryan, you took that one. Xander, why don't we hear a little bit about yourself, where you came from, and then Ryan, we'll go back to you.
Yeah, absolutely. So born and raised in New York, in Manhattan, on the Upper East Side. I've known Ryan pretty much my whole life. Growing up, always loved to explore the city, run around. So I think from an early age, carrying bags, traveling, getting out there was sort of central to me. Went to school at Northwestern, spent a lot of my time there studying product design and development. So industrial engineering was my major, did a minor in product design and engineering design innovation. And then after graduating, have spent the last 4 years nearly at Capital One, also in a product design, product development, product strategy roles. So a lot of the same soft skills we're bringing to FTL of understanding user needs, how you create a compelling product, how you message that to people, how you make sure you're differentiated and unique in the market. But while my 9 to 5 is doing that around products in the fintech space, my 5 to 9, all the hours outside of that are spent with Ryan, applying those skills to bags. And like Ryan said, like a bag that it's not just a bag, it's a tool for people to have the most productive days and weekends that they can have.
And Xander, I'm a Chicago boy at heart, so you know I got my Evanston joints that I love. Shout out, because I got a lot of friends from Chicago to listen. Shout out to Buff Joe's, best chicken wings on earth, and Andy's custard, incredible. The key lime pie, crumble, shout out. I miss those a lot. Things I miss about Chicago. That and deep dish, love it. So Ryan, what about yourself, man? Let's hear a little bit about your background.
Yeah, totally. So Xander covered it. We go way back through many, many connections, but grew up in New York City as well. Graduated from Cornell in 2016 and went into the real estate industry, which I've been doing since day to day, and have learned a ton from that. But I think, like Xander, have had a little bit of an entrepreneurial itch, a little bit of a creative itch, really forever, and had some background in education and design as well at Cornell. But more so just wanted to build something, wanted to make something. It didn't have to be like the next Facebook. I just thought it was time to kind of put an idea to paper and see it come through. And I know Xander so long. I know he kind of shares the same vision. So when we were talking about the same problems we were facing and wanted to do something about it, it was easy to do. So that's how we got here.
That's amazing, and especially because you guys are doing it together. You're lifelong friends, like you said. I mean, Ryan, you also just said that you've always had this entrepreneurial niche. Take us back, 10, 15, 20 years. Is this the first? I mean, is FTL the first company you guys started? There's got to be something else way back, whether it was when you're 5 years old, 15 years old. Come on, break it down for us. There's something else.
Yeah.
Go for it.
I can speak. So I think my first entrepreneurial endeavor, I don't know if this was maybe a pre-entrepreneurial endeavor, was playing a game on my computer called Lemonade Tycoon and having this realization of all my friends are playing like Madden and picking their rosters, and I'm playing like Lemonade Tycoon and trying to figure out how to like optimize pricing and what new locations to open up. So I think it started there. Then when I was in 9th grade, started a small program where I hired a few of my friends to like run after school activities for middle school students in the city. Came to Northwestern, got involved with a startup there called Boxco, which was a student-run storage and shipping company. Got involved with a failed attempted startup at Northwestern as well. But I think sort of there's always been a side project going on, whether it's a digital lemonade stand or helping college students move and ship things home. I think FTL is the first thing that me and Ryan have done together as a business venture, but we've had other, let's call them adventures together.
Totally.
It's so interesting, right? Like Parker and I, 150 something episodes in, we've had on entrepreneurs, doctors, lawyers, everything under the sun, right? But the unique thing about all these people, it's more than just this like entrepreneurial spirit. It's this concept, and again, for like lack of a better term, these people who just like elevate the life that they live. That is why I think we found a connection with you guys and with most of our guests that we, vet to come on. It's like you have this unspoken bond with these people who try to do more with their lives, right? It's so easy to just be normal. Like life is hard. Don't get me wrong. It's some people like the 9 to 5, living for the weekend is what people do. But what makes Elevation Nation and Elevators unique is that we all share this commonality to want to do more. It's like truly get the most out of life, whether that's starting a company or if you're like my friend Nikki who lives and just decided to move to Bali and just live her life, right? Like anything in between, if people are out there trying to just elevate their lives, I feel like this kinship with almost. So what about you, Ryan? Any little lemonade stands around town when you were younger?
A little bit. I think, I think for me, a lot of it was just kind of ideas in my head, ideas I'd run around with and share with people. Like, what about this? What about that? And I think that kind of led me to just saying, it's time. I see people around me creating things. Like, I asked myself, I could certainly do something, and again, it didn't have to be $1 billion idea. I just kind of wanted to challenge myself to act on it. I think before that, in college, participated in Design for America, which was kind of design-backed kind of certain projects that were helping society or humanity. So a little bit of an entrepreneurial spin on that. had a little idea with one of my buddies in college for an app called Tuned In, which was honestly kind of like what the Morning Brew does now, except they beat us to it and probably, they're doing just fine. So I think ideas, but similar to Xander, this is really the first one like took real action on, and we were determined to see it through to the end, no matter what.
I love that. Now that, I think, is what elevating is all about. Sam was talking about there are people who are elevators and there's people, who just go about their day. I personally believe everyone wants to elevate, but the true elevators are the ones who makes it happen. And they put their foot forward and they go. And it's with you guys, with Sam and with myself, with some of the projects that we've done. We want it. We go get it. We don't know where it's going. We push ourselves outside the comfort zone. Next thing you know, you're in hopefully a better place than you were a day, month, year before. Let's move forward a little bit from 5-year-old Xander building his own lemonade stand on the internet or something to college graduation. You guys were in different places for college. Obviously, you grew up in the city together. You come back to the city. What was that like for you when you both got full-time jobs? Was it difficult? Was it overwhelming? Was it the easiest thing in the entire world?
Yeah. So I graduated and had a job offer in New York. All of my college friends were moving back to New York. All of my high school friends were moving back to New York. All my family was in New York. And I made this call of, you know what, New York's not going anywhere. I want to go somewhere new. And decided to move to DC, which I knew one person who was moving there, a friend of mine, and just thought I wanted to try a new city. I didn't want to fall back right into a world where I knew a million people. And so I called the company that had hired me and said, hey, I want to switch my office location from New York to DC. They said, great. I woke up the next morning and was like, why did I do that? What was I thinking? And sort of was tortured by that decision for like 6 months before I actually moved there. And I moved there, and it was a really, I would say, interesting experience where being in New York, again, family, friends, where I grew up, every moment of my life I would have something to do, some plan. And DC, I think something I but something that was new to me, especially coming out of college, where you're always surrounded with people, was a lot of free time and not necessarily an obvious thing to do to fill it.
So when you graduated and you made that decision, I guess you made the decision before you probably even graduated to go to DC, and you just said, well, I'm going to go to DC, and you instantly regretted it. Why? Like, was it like, damn, everyone else is going to New York? Like,
yeah, it was. Everyone's going to New York. I know I would have a great time in New York. I know I would have a full social life. I would be able to see my family a lot. Why did I do this? Why am I putting myself into what's a more difficult position? And I mean, I know why, but it was still a tough decision that I questioned frequently.
Totally. What about
funny,
you,
I
Ryan?
mean,
For me, it was a little different. I think obviously grew up here, went to school not too far away, and was open to living somewhere else. I mean, everything like Xander is in New York City for me, so that was probably going to be the best case scenario, but it was going to really depend on the job I was offered, and I took the one that I thought was the best at the time to go work in real estate in New York, and frankly was lucky to have all my best friends from Cornell in the city, all my home friends, everyone became friends. It was great, and I think credit to Xander for taking a risk and going somewhere else. I think I like to think of myself as spontaneous and adventurous, but I would think Xander is the king of spontaneity and adventure in the best way possible. The guy's been in Nepal with the river tribes. He's lived in huts. He's gone across the world, all that good stuff. And I think ended up here, would love to have something take me to another city at some point in my life, but kind of just taking everything in stride and going with the flow.
And what about your guys' mindsets, right? So when I graduated college, I moved to New York as well. Not knowing anyone family-wise, but having a lot of friends move there, and got a job that is a good job. Same job I have now, kind of. And I was miserable, right? Even though I was in a big city, I felt really alone. Even though I had a lot of friends around me, I felt really distant. I felt like every day I was waking up at 6 a.m. to try to sneak in a workout, to commute shitty commute to Times Square to come home, cook dinner in a horrible apartment, and then do it all over again. And like fell into this really toxic routine. And that was my experience. And honestly, the inspiration for Parker and myself behind Elevation Nation for you guys, right? Xander obviously coming to DC, Ryan staying in New York, both had incredible jobs, right? So you had that part figured out. But when you finished college, life is different. How did you guys feel about the trajectory of where you were going? Did you freak out kind of like I did?
Yeah, it's a great question, and I think a lot of people deal with it. I think I can only speak for myself. I don't think there was quite a freak out, but certainly I kind of look around at a lot of my friends, and they've had a path that they've been determined to set out on for a while, which is great and credit to them. They're all crushing it. I think even coming out of school, I was a little uncertain what I want to do. Still to this day, not exactly sure what I want to do for the long haul. And I think there was never moments at work where I was just like miserable and just like, what am I doing? But I think I totally see where you're coming from in that just constant routine and repetition really became something I was just like, is this really it? And I think that was probably what led to that entrepreneurial and creative itch. And I think that brought a lot of variety and a lot of fun, different kinds of days into my life. And to do it with Xander as well, you find yourself working late, but like having a great time. You want to be doing this on the weekends. And I didn't formally have stuff that I wanted to be doing so frequently. And it definitely didn't feel like work. So I think that's definitely played a big role in why we're here trying to do this.
So let's talk about that. Let's talk about the entrepreneurial spirit that you guys exude on a daily basis. Walk us through, maybe like break down the story, the day, the moment that you guys like got together and like, shit, let's start a company, or shit, FTL, we're going to create bags. Like, what was that moment like? Sam and I, we have our moment. Like, we could talk through that, but I want to hear yours.
Yeah. So, I mean, me and Ryan, we shared this entrepreneurial itch. We like solving problems. We like thinking about design. And one day Ryan called me. He was like, dude, every day I go to work and I carry the same 3 bags. These 3 bags haunt me. I have my gym bag, I have my briefcase, and I have a garment bag. Because I go to the gym in the morning, I have my garment bag, my change of clothes, and they're haunting me everywhere. And I see everyone in New York City commuting with these 3 bags. And I was living in DC, and I was like, dude, I carry the same 3 bags, and I see everyone with the same 3 bags. Like, you're right, this sucks. I see it. I'm there. Like, I love the vision. I know exactly. Like, I agree. There's a problem here. And I was like, hey, I'm coming up to New York in 2 or 3 weeks. Why don't you come over to my mom's apartment and like, let's talk through this. And then I think those 2 weeks between when we had that first conversation and when we saw each other in the city, I think that we texted consistently throughout that, sending pictures of things on notepads. What if we did something like this? Or look at this bag I just found here. Or crazy idea. What if it did this? What if our differentiator was this? Go check out this brand that does this. And it was just super, like a really organic energy that emerged after that first conversation. At least that's how I remember. I'm curious, Ryan.
I think you absolutely nailed it. That really was it. And like Xander said, we were so excited. And obviously, there's a honeymoon phase to all of this. Like, it's a long ass journey, and it's been 3 years, and we haven't even started yet. And hopefully, we're really at the beginning. But we were just so excited when we just were like, let's run at this, let's go for this. And I think what I say to people is like, I think you guys know this too. We talked about this a little bit. Like, it takes a very unique partnership and friendship and relationship to buy into the same idea and go through the ups and downs and the setbacks and the delays and all the problems that arise over the course of 3 years. Like we talked about, Xander and I have like similar values. There was just that shared mutual energy. And frankly, I don't think there's really anyone else that like I could probably do this with and sustain the energy to get through all those ups and downs. And I think we were just so excited to try to build something. And that's really how it happened from that phone call.
Yeah. Yeah. And talking about the energy, like there have been so many times where I've started to lose steam or just get a little bit down because you hit setback after setback after setback. And I think as soon as I start to feel that, something switches in Ryan's brain and he becomes like the most energetic, motivating person And the same thing when I start to sense that in Ryan, like automatically I know, okay, it's my turn to like really bring the energy to this partnership.
Totally.
So I think we are really lucky in having that relationship.
There's a unique dynamic when you start something with a friend, right? And I think you guys balancing each other out, Parker and I know that all too well. It's definitely me that usually is like, what the fuck are we doing, man? Like, what is going on? And Parker's like, dude, come on, man. Like, don't you see the vision? And then on the contrary, like when Parker has some crazy ass idea that I'm like, how the hell are we going to do that? I rein it in and we help refine it. And so having that balance of partnership, especially in entrepreneurship, I think is so important. Like solo entrepreneurs, I don't know how they do it.
Yeah.
Like to never have a bad day and just be able to always be going, like without having Parker and, you know, Ryan and Xander, you guys having each other, like that is who you need, your like backbone, your buddy, your confidant to keep pushing through, because this entrepreneurial journey it's difficult. I know Parker's going to say, oh yeah, I put you up all the time, man. You got to be more positive. All right, go ahead.
Sam has gotten better. The more podcasts we've done, the more incredible people we've met, his mindset shifted, which is good. I hope Elevation Nation has saw that too. So you guys, I mean, Sam and I felt it the same way. We started Elevation Nation. You know, Sam and I had a different company called Hired You. The first like month, 2 months, 3 months, let's say 3 months, it's awesome. It's fun. You're tackling all these new ideas, new problems. You're like, wow, we could do this, we could do that. Wow, let's talk to this person, let's talk to that person. And then there's a moment where you're like, wow, this is hard. This is really difficult. Like, what do we do? What do we do tomorrow? Who do we need to talk to? Do we need to, raise capital? Do we need to make a website? Should we make an Instagram? Should we hire a TikTok influencer to like promote our, there's all these thoughts and it's really, really difficult. Coupled with, you got a full-time job. For myself, Sam at the time, both had girlfriends. We still want to be friends to our friends. We want to go out and enjoy our lives, family. How'd you guys do it? 3 years now. 3 years later.
Yeah. I think there's a couple of things you need to do and get right, because it's really tough. I think something that's been really helpful for me in staying motivated is really tangible, realistic goals that you celebrate. So for us, I think after our first conversation, it was like, we kind of knew we shared this vision of what this product could look like and what it would do. And it was like, hey, let's just get this product in front of us. Like just have one made that we can use, and then we'll call that a success. And that's what we were working towards. And then we got one made that we thought was good, and we celebrated. And I was like, okay, what's next? Let's
Did you guys go to like a store in New York to make it? Like, or did you call someone you knew? Like, how did that happen?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. Obviously, Xander and I come from different backgrounds. We really didn't know where to start. Like, you can only Google around for so long. But I think a big thing that we've kept super top of mind and would be probably a number one lesson to give to anybody or just anything to share is obviously just use your resources. So we're like, all right, where do we start? Luckily, we have a good friend. Her name's Ali Kamenetsky. She started a brand called Modern Picnic, which is like a fantastic lunchbox meets women's pocketbook. And she was our first call, and she couldn't have been more generous and sweet with her time. And she said, this is what you guys got to do. You got to bring your design, bring your notes to a guy who will design a tech pack for you, sort of a blueprint of the bag, and that's what you can send to factory. So that was step one, which we would have had no idea what to do, but she connected us with her designer. He was able to give us the blueprints to our bag. And then the next step was trying to find a factory that was going to do it. But we looked into New York factories, one shop, but they were charging just insane fees for one sample, and we kind of just didn't want to sell out like that and just put a bunch of money behind it before even having proof of concept. So we did a little digging and ended up finding a couple different factories overseas that would produce it for us, and that was really all it took to start.
It's always hardest when you have no idea what to do, and thank God for all the mentors and resources in our lives. Like, think about all the people that have helped Parker and myself. Shout out Rich Keller, who we're going to have to connect you guys with. He's a branding, marketing, absolute beast and has helped keep us on track with what our mission is. And without those mentors in your life, like, it is so easy to get off track. So I have a metaphor though for
without
you guys.
Oh, go ahead, Sam.
Go ahead, Parker. I was
I
going
was
to bring it
just
to
say,
the next
without
question.
the mentors, without these mentors, I personally think, like for Rich Keller, we wouldn't be sitting here right now. And I think, I don't know if you guys agree, if you didn't meet, was it Allie, right?
Yep.
You probably, maybe you would be sitting here, but it would probably look very different. You know?
Couldn't agree more. Yeah. There's no way.
Yeah, and there's probably another 30 people you could substitute Allie's name with.
Yeah.
Who helped us along the way and had conversations with us all along the way.
Yep. She just happened to be the first one.
And that's what's cool with what you guys are doing now and what Parker and I get to do every day, which is we use our voices to try to share stories and mentor other people. And I know anyone listening, if they have questions or comments or concerns, they can reach out to us. I know you guys will be generous with your time. Like, we're only as good as our network and the mentors we have. So reach out, ask someone. You never know what advice you can get. But going to my metaphor that I've been trying to ask. So you guys created a bag that does more with carrying less. And I think that's a beautiful metaphor for the elevator mentality, for Elevation Nation, for what we call mental fortitude, which is this concept of being self-aware, knowing who you are, having a vision, knowing what you want to do, and then holding yourself accountable, right? So we throw all those things in our bag, right? Only 3 things, not a ton of stuff. There's not a ton that makes up what we do at Elevation Nation, but knowing those 3 things really, really well and intimately, we think gives you mental fortitude to be able to elevate your mindsets. And I think, you know, of course, you guys are making a physical, tangible product, so people could say, oh, you're just making a bag. But I would say you guys are doing more than that. You're helping people with their mindsets of what they can get done, right? And that's why I think there's so much beautiful overlap between what we're doing at Elevation Nation. Is it doesn't take much to be an elevator. It doesn't take much to have mental fortitude. It doesn't take much to do more, right? All you need are a couple things. So for us, it's those 3 principles. For you guys, it's a bag that allows you to work out, have a social life, and work hard in the office, right? And it's those 3 things that are kind of a principle. I guess there wasn't a question there. I just wanted to say that. Cool metaphor.
I thought you nailed it.
Dude, that was like very artistic of you, Sam. Like,
thank you very
seriously,
much.
You might as well write a poem like at some point tonight, just because you have those creative juices flowing. That was really good.
I was proud of that one. Thank you, Parker. I appreciate it.
I totally agree, and I love it. And I think that's part of why we connected so much on that first call was we're making a bag. You guys are doing a podcast. Like, feels completely unrelated, but you peel back the layers, and very quickly you realize that a lot of like the core values and what we're trying to bring to people's lives is super similar.
So, all right, I want to expand on this a little bit. Parker made fun of me because before I wanted to talk about this concept called the modern man, which I was like, I don't know why, but I feel like there's some tie here between the modern man or woman and how they work and the life that we want to live. And I do think there's a lot of similarities between the person you're designing FTL bags for and the person we are targeting with Elevation Nation, is that they're all people that are trying to, like we started the podcast with, we're coming full circle now, get the most out of life, right? And like truly do everything. This is not a bag for someone that's trying to do one thing, right? This is a bag for people that have a lot of things in their day that they need to be prepared for. And so I think that mentality is so perfect. And what we're trying to help push people to do with Elevation Nation is don't just say you want to go to the gym and be better. Don't just say you want to put in more work in the office and really make an impact. Don't just say you're going to meet up with that friend who you haven't seen in a year. Go out and do it. And whether it's your mindset, whether it's the tools that you use, like an FTL bag, like take action. Accountability is the hardest part about mental fortitude. You can talk the talk and know what you want and have a vision, but like until your ass grabs an FTL bag and goes out and do it, like you're not really taking action. You're not being an elevator.
Sometimes it's hard to elevate when you don't know that there are things out there to help you elevate, right? For Sam and me, it's our framework of mental fortitude. For you guys to, make the most of your day, it's the damn freaking bag. That is amazing. So I'm sure our listeners are like, all right, let's hear more about this bag. So how can you do work, gym, and everything else in one bag that obviously looks good and isn't that heavy?
Yeah, well, I mean, to your guys' first point quickly, I think you just nailed it. Absolutely, like took the words out of Xander and I's mouth. Like we've been really trying to live this brand since it started. And I think 3.5 years ago, like maybe I wasn't trying to pack my day as much. Maybe I wasn't trying to have my bag laid out with everything that I was going to need the next day. But it sounds so corny and cliche, but there's some days where you're just like tired and you don't want to like pack the whole day. I'll text Xander and just be like, dude, I don't feel like going to the gym this morning. And literally we'll just be like, dude, for the love, like FTL. Like it sounds so ridiculous, but we really truly have, it's really helped us kind of motivate and stay motivated and just be like, how are we going to have this bag and build this brand if we're not even going to live it? So I think I love what you guys said. I think it complete overlap with what you're doing at Elevation Nation, why we absolutely love talking to you and appreciate all that kind of wisdom and words around the bag. But to answer your question, go for it.
Yeah, so how can one bag do it all? So like we were referencing earlier, we really set out to replace this arsenal of bags that seemed to be chasing us everywhere. There was a garment bag, there was a gym bag, and there was a laptop bag. And we went out and we talked with tons of people in our target demographic and just started coming up with lists of what they brought every day with them, what they needed. And I would say the bag is largely organized into 4 sections that we think ultimately like really help provide a specific place for everything you would need for one of those really productive days. We like to say, 12 to 36 hours out of the house. So it could be a one night overnight, a business trip, but 12 to 36 productive hours outside of the house. So you have a shoe compartment where you can...
Wait, Xander, before you go, do you have one near you?
We got a couple near us.
All right, let's see them. We got to get them on. Let's hear you break this down for us.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Cool.
Boys came prepared.
Okay.
Give them a demonstration.
Okay, we'll do a quick demo. So for folks who don't have video, should I just try to...
You took out all the weird shit, right?
Yeah.
Just do it. I'll cut this out. Like, do it as if you're assuming everyone can see you.
Great.
Okay.
Awesome. Yes. Yeah. Cool. Awesome. So here's the bag, and I'll first let you just see the general size. So as I mentioned, there's 4 main pockets to the bag. So the first pocket is a shoe pocket here. Of course, you could use it for dirty clothes or whatever you want, but it is you have a opening here with a lining inside here that you can put shoes or dirty clothes or just keep anything you want separate from the rest of the bag. Most other shoe compartments in the market like this, the shoes go in next to each other, so the bag has to be kind of wide. Our shoes go in one after the other, so it keeps the bag a little bit tighter than what most other bags would have. The second compartment is the laptop or work sleeve. So it's a separated sleeve. Sorry, this is a little down the top here. That is felt line and padded, so you can fit a laptop in. I think we all hate when you are going to the office and you need to dig through all your dirty clothes to get your laptop. Like notebook and laptop can just sit on the side in this padded sleeve. It's also great for going through TSA security when they're like, laptop's out. It's like, zip, I know exactly where my laptop is. I don't have to touch anything else.
And it feels secure, like it's in a packed place. It's not like in just a random wherever where it can just bounce around.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The next
And it looks like that's the gorgeous Abbott green color there that you're holding, Xander. And
Yes.
I think we also have the Kenmare black that you have, Ryan. Is that right?
That's exactly right.
Yeah, those are hot. Those are stylish. Sorry, keep going, Xander.
Exactly. Yeah, and unfortunately, no Essex blue with us today.
All right, next time.
Next time. So then, of course, you have a main general pocket. Can fit things. There's a couple of interior pocket zippers here. So whether it's clothes, chargers, toiletry kits, that all fits in here. And if you have shoes in, the shoes would be right here inside the lining. But of course, if you have no shoes, that can easily push away and you have all that space reclaimed.
But the shoes don't take up the whole compartment, right?
No.
So you can still fit stuff in there. Okay.
Yeah, definitely. If you put the shoes in, there's still a bunch of room on top for folded clothes, toiletry kits, chargers, books, whatever you might want.
Another one of our slogans is carry everything like it's nothing. And some people have joked around that it's like the Mary Poppins bag where you just keep taking things out of it. But that's like, we sometimes are just like, look, crap, like how did we pack so much shit in here? But it just truly, it just works somehow. And frankly, sometimes I don't even know how it did.
I feel like there's more.
Oh, there's more. So
that's what I was to say.
up top, we have what we're calling the trinket pocket. So there's a little felt line pocket at the top here. So AirPods, keys, wallet, things that you don't want to dig through your bag can fit in right there for easy access. A water bottle holder, of course. And then the last section is the garment section. So this zips here, and this is a place where you can keep your clothes. So if you have a jacket or some button-downs or sweaters that you want to keep separate from your other clothes, or you want it to stay a little bit neater, this section here drops open, and you can sort of pack this in two ways. You either have here a couple of straps where you can fold clothing and strap it into this section, and it folds up and zips. And then we also have a custom garment bag that is in here that snaps in and out. So if you're not using it, you can remove it, but it is here. It folds out into thirds, and there's a zipper here, so you can throw a hanger. There's a hook for a hanger to go in here. Zip up the garment bag with a suit, button down, whatever it is. This folds up.
We're going to cut this part. We'll speed it up.
Guys, I need expedited shipping to DC ASAP. I got my cousin's wedding this weekend in Chicago. I'm hopping on a plane, and I already hear my mother and my grandmother, those lovely Jewish ladies, going, "Why is your suit so wrinkled? Like, what? Did you not put it in a garment bag on the plane?" Like, this is the solution for that. Where's this been all my life? I would not have to hear their nagging on me.
We will get you on ASAP. And that zips up, and then, of course, a sleeve here. It sits lovely on top of a roller bag, and going through airport security with this is a breeze. And
TSA's favorite bag, we've heard.
TSA's favorite bag.
Oh, love that. That's great. And then it has another strap that will come around, go over your shoulder.
Yep, a removable strap over your shoulder, and then handlebars or handles.
So how much does it weigh? Like when you, let's say a typical day, how much do you think?
So if it's packed?
Yeah, if it's packed, like a typical one laptop, a phone, maybe a book, some shoes, athletic wear, like
5 pounds. It's really. Did I understate that?
I think so. I don't really know. I feel like my shoes alone maybe weigh 5 pounds. I don't have a great barometer for that.
All right, maybe I was.
But it's doable. It's like
comfortable.
Oh yeah.
It's really not bad. I think the bag itself is pretty light. It's got this. It's called polyurethane. It's like a rubberized cotton. We were inspired from a couple other brands to get this like sleek, smooth aesthetic that we wanted to kind of stand out without a big logo on your face. But you see the material, you see the colors, and you're like, oh, that's an FTL bag. Just by the material, and it's waterproof. It's easy to wipe down, which obviously has been huge outside of COVID. Bring it on a train, bring it on a plane. Like take a cotton bag or a canvas bag. It kind of gets all dirty, but you can just take a wet wipe and wipe it down. And it's pretty lightweight, and it's been
the waterproof is huge. I remember. Now we're getting into story time with Sam. When I was commuting into Times Square when I was in New York, and you would get stuck. Like an umbrella works kind of, but you hold the umbrella over your head. And I was wearing a backpack, so the backpack's out of the umbrella. I didn't realize. I showed up at the office, and my laptop was ruined, like absolutely soaked. So I think the waterproof thing is pretty big. I like it.
I have a folder on my phone, and I can send you the photos afterwards of every time I have this bag and it pours. I'm so happy.
Yeah.
Because I'll take a selfie of me in the mirror, and I am drenched, and I'm smiling, and the bag is soaking wet on the outside. Because it just reminds me, like, I love this material. And you zip it open, and all my papers are dry, and all my clothes are dry, and the laptop's dry. This thing is super, super water repellent. We actually found the material because it was being used by a rain jacket company.
Pretty amazing.
Amazing.
Ingenious there. And so we, Elevation Nation, if you're like, damn, I just watched that whole video, or if Parker for some reason keeps us in the podcast part, even though no one could see, and you want to buy a bag, we're going to link to FTL's website so you can support the guys and get an incredible bag. People are starting to go back to the office. We're starting to travel again, go on trips. You want to be efficient. You also want to look cool as hell. Get yourself an FTL bag.
Yeah, we appreciate that, guys. Seriously. They're hopefully going to touch down any day now, and we're going to turn them around right to customers. So hopefully have them in people's hands shortly. But obviously, as a thanks to you guys for having us on, we'd love to offer all of Elevation Nation a little promo. Just Elevation 20, we'll call it, for $20 off any FTL purchase. But really, it's a thanks to you guys and your listeners for just hearing us out and hearing the story.
You heard it
No
here
doubt.
first. That was very kind of you guys. Promo combined Elevation Nation and FTL, little business partnership there. I absolutely love it. So we did some promo of an incredible product that you guys created. Let's get back to the mindset and mentality a little bit, right? So obviously you guys have this motto of, doing more, carrying less. And I'd be curious from your guys' personal perspectives now, and Ryan, we can start with you. For Elevation Nation out there that's listening that absolutely love your motto like we do you have any advice for people to live their lives more with less? How do you kind of capitalize on that slogan in this modern world where we have so much at our fingertips, it's almost overwhelming and excessive? How do you guys kind of capitalize on that mindset of do more, but you don't need more necessarily?
Yeah, it's a great question, and I think Xander and I have discovered a little bit of that throughout the last 3 years. But my answer to that would be try to weed out the noise. Try to look past the distractions, everything else that's going on, everything your friends are doing, what your colleagues are doing, and really focus and hone in on the things that make you tick and make you wake up excited in the morning. Everyone's going to have work. Everyone's going to have their jobs. People have family and friends and obligations, and that's obviously all the most important. But I think after that, when you can find things that really give you energy and make you want to wake up in the morning and go do something on a Saturday rather than go right to a bar, which we want to do plenty, I think that was kind of the big key. So I guess the answer is just, it doesn't need to be 100 different things. You don't need to try to take down 10 different tasks at once or ventures. It just find those few couple things that you love and just go for them. Don't let anything stop you. Don't worry about kind of the judgment that you might get. Just if you find something that you think makes you tick, just run at it.
Double down, Sam. That's what I heard. I love that phrase, double down. Anything to add, Xander, there? Or you agree?
Yeah, I agree. I think I'll add on, just be thoughtful and check in with yourself. I think everyone has a different system for what works. And, I know what I use to maintain going to the gym and working out is completely different than what Ryan uses or my roommate uses or other people I know who are really big into fitness. But those systems work for us. So I would say try things. And if it seems like it's working, stick with it. If not, move on to the next thing. So just be thoughtful and figure out what works for you. It's going to be different for every person. But as long as you're, being cognizant and trying to measure efficacy of different systems to some degree, I think you will eventually find what works for you.
Totally. So with elevation, like elevating your life, I think there's a common preconception that, everything is great. Life is great. There's amazing things. You look at the top dogs in the world, they're like the true elevators, the people who've made it. But I think what makes what makes an elevator and someone who continues to just push the boundaries and excel and move forward in life are people who are able to understand and come to terms with their failures and the things that the shortcomings in their life, the challenges in their life, and they're able to be vulnerable enough with others, but more importantly themselves, to understand those things, and instead of let that hurt them and belittle them and create an fear inside them, they take that, utilize that fear, and continue to push further. We've been talking about a lot of positive things on this podcast, and I'm really curious, what has been one of the most challenging things for you guys in the last 3 years building FTL?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think for me, one of the most challenging things is knowing when a design is done or when a design is ready. It's sometimes perfection can be the enemy of great, or whatever that saying is. And there are times where I kick myself and I say, this product could have been ready a year ago and we've waited too long to bring it to market. And there are other times where I kick myself and I said, I can't believe that we've already brought this to market. Like, what if this isn't done or that isn't done? And so I still don't know what the right answer is. I don't know if we brought it to market too soon or too late. Maybe in a year from now we can check in and I can tell you. But that's a decision that has been really difficult, is knowing sort of like when to show this to other people. And I don't know if we've done the right thing there or not.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to put it. I think honestly, I wasn't sure what my answer was going to be, but that sparked the fact that I probably have a tendency to jump the gun a little bit. I think there have been plenty of times where I'm just like, dude, can we just put this out there? Like, let's pre-order. Let's just get this up on the Instagram so people can see it. And credit to Xander, kind of reels me in. I mean, even from the beginning, he was super diligent and very supportive of the important research stage and the iterative process at the beginning and question and answer and surveys, where I had a tendency to a little bit just like, let's jump to the solution, let's get there, let's like get this out in the public, let's get feedback. So I think in that sense we balance each other out a bit, but I think it's been hard to not jump the gun. It's been a long process, 3 years, and like I said, we're about to fully really launch to the public, and there were times when I wish we could have done it 2 years ago. But like Xander said, you got to find that balance, because at some point you got to just take the plunge.
So working when you guys came up with this idea 3 years ago looked a lot different than it does now. I'm going to ask a difficult question. Sorry. There are a lot of people working from home. A lot of people who won't be going back to the office full time. Why should they own your bag?
Yeah, it's a great question. And when work from home, when that became a thing and we realized that would exist in perpetuity, we had a lot of conversations around, do we change what we're doing? Do we stop what we're doing? How does this impact us? We spent a year and a half on a bag that brings you from the office to the gym to a bar, and over the course of a couple of days, offices, gyms, and bars all closed. And so that was really tough. And so I think there are sort of 3 use cases for this bag that we see. And I think each one of them can really resonate with a person, or at least one of them will resonate with a lot of people. The first is what we've talked about: going to the gym, going to the office, going to a bar, having those really productive days out and about. The second is for overnighters. We know weekenders exist, bags that are great for going away for 3-4 days, but an overnighter bag where you're just going somewhere for one night, whether that's sleeping over at a significant other's apartment or going away on a work trip. So if you're someone who maybe doesn't go into the office, but you have one night trips here or there, I think that there's a great use case for that. And then the last thing, like Ryan said, is TSA's best friend. It's a roller bag's best friend. When I travel with this thing in a roller bag, it's just awesome. It slips right on top. I have my laptop right in the sleeve. It's a personal item size, so it doesn't count as a carry-on. I have that as my personal item, and the roller is the carry-on, and it slips right into the chair in front of me.
Way more than like a backpacker tote.
Yeah, way more. So if you're not doing overnights, if you're not going to the gym, but you are taking flights and you're going away and you want to pack more, and you have a carry-on but not a personalized item bag, I think that this can be great for that.
Yeah, I think Xander absolutely hit every use case. The only thing I would add is that I think in the heat of everything going on, when we're sitting there, like, we designed a bag for a time that's not going to really exist anymore, it was obviously a little discouraging, and I think you got to go with the flow a bit. You can't get stuck on your first design because the whole world changed around us in a matter of a couple of days. But I'm kind of a firm believer in things work out the way they're supposed to, and I think now as we find this new normal where some people are going back to the office, we talk to plenty of people now who are like, yeah, I'm in 5 days a week, I wear a suit, I work at a law firm, and I'm going on a business trip to Chicago on Friday. We're like, great, our bag still is perfect for you. But on the flip side, there's a ton more people out there that have this hybrid way of living now, and it almost works in our favor because people just aren't certain how many days they're going to be in the office, when they're going to take a 3-day weekend and work remotely from Friday. And this bag it just so happens it's perfectly made for that, where you can take it, put your laptop, put all your stuff that would typically in a previous world all be at your desk for that weekend, and just throw it in your bag and take it on the go. So I think the fluidity of this new world that we found ourselves in is gonna really help get this bag into some customers' hands.
I know I'm excited for mine. I think it's incredible. No matter, I hope we're getting out of the pandemic, what the working world looks like. I'm excited to travel for work again. I'm excited to go on trips. I'm excited to come to New York and hang out with you guys and see Parker. So it's absolutely an amazing product out there. We're going to get into our next section, which is our rapid fire question. So I'm going to ask, we'll do one for each of you guys here. Xander, I take it you were a little bit more on the design side of the house with the actual product. So I am in the design digital world. So I wanted to ask you this question, which was, where did some of the inspiration behind FTL come from a visual and, functional standpoint?
Yeah. So functionally, it came very clearly from, we have these 3 bags. We have a garment bag, we have a briefcase with your work stuff, and we have a gym bag.
Function came from the problem. Okay.
Yes.
That makes
Function
perfect
came from
sense.
the problem. We have these 3 bags. We want to consolidate it into one. Aesthetics, we started with design principles. And I think the one that I love that I'll share with you was, we wanted it to pass the date test. So this is a bag that you were proud to show up to it on a date with. No one wants to show up on a date with 3 bags. No one wants to show up with like a Nike gym bag. So we needed it to pass the date test. And so that was sort of what we kept tossing designs against to see, is this good enough? Is this good enough? Is this good enough? Aesthetically, we took a lot of inspiration from some like really beautiful leather briefcases we saw out in the market. And that's what sort of dictated a lot of the profile.
Well, it shows. It's absolutely gorgeous. I'm just imagining like Xander and Ryan each taking prototypes like, oh, fuck, gotta go on another date this week, see if it passes the test or not. Like, all right, here we go again. That's awesome.
That's great. All right, next rapid fire. You guys created a bag for travel. What is your favorite place to travel to outside New York City and your favorite place to travel to inside New York City? It's a 2-part question.
Great question. Like I said, Xander and I love to travel, love to adventure. I think, honestly, one place that by itself would be one of my favorites, but will always hold a very large place in my heart, happens to be Greece. It's where Xander and I traveled to when we were like younger, coming out of high school, and just like really bonded, had just like the best time, and just have so many memories and stories there. And I figured in the moment, like, we were not thinking about what we were going to do in 10 years. We probably didn't think we were going to be here, but I really do think a lot of the stuff and memories and kind of bonds we formed on that trip led us to this place. So I think for that reason, I think it probably stands out to me.
It's like you're talking about our honeymoon.
I was about to say, that's so cute. Parker and I have the same story, so it's totally fine. Same thing happened to us. I love it.
Yeah. In New York City, I don't know. You take that one.
For me in New York City, it's Central Park, easy.
Yeah.
I love that place so much. It always puts me in a good mood.
Yeah, it's a great answer.
I completely agree. I love Central Park so freaking much. I mean, when it's raining and really raining, it's kind of shitty to be in. But besides that,
that's
a pretty great place. Yeah.
All right, last rapid fire question. This is for each of you guys. When you travel, going to work, sitting on the subway, whatever you're doing with your FTL bag, you probably want to maybe read a book every now and then. You got a beautiful slot for a notebook and your laptop in there. So what is an amazing all-time book that you would recommend for Elevation Nation listeners?
So for me, it would be Shantaram. I don't know if either of you have read that or if that has come up yet, but it is an unbelievable true story about an Australian. Actually, he's from New Zealand. He was a prisoner. He escaped prison and fled to India and spent a number of years in his life as a fugitive in India, journaled as a form of therapy, and sort of captured the notes for day after day after day and turned it into a book, which is allegedly nonfiction, but reads like a fiction novel and is not only engaging and exciting, but could be studied as a form of philosophy.
You got to spell that for me. I'm adding it to my list.
Shantaram, Shanta.
Oh, I got it.
RAM.
Oh, hell yeah. Okay.
900 pages. Wow.
Yeah, it goes quick.
When do you have that time to do that?
Wow.
Remember all those calls I ducked out?
So Sam read this too, Steve Jobs. That book was like 650 pages. And if you guys haven't read it, I mean, it's also an amazing book just about, entrepreneurship and designing. And obviously Steve Jobs is a legend, but
yeah,
that was like 650. I was like, damn, I'm never getting through this thing.
Okay, that's going on my list.
What about you, Ryan?
I'd say for me, maybe a little bit more mainstream, but definitely a pillar in our FTL journey would be Shoe Dog by Phil Knight, the Nike memoir. I mean, I'm not surprised you guys have read it. I'm sure a lot of your listeners have too. So I wish I was offering something a little bit more unique. But I mean, it was one of my all-time favorite books. We read it like in the second year of our FTL journey, and like it just like. Every kind of character they introduce, everybody like Xander and I are like, oh, that could be this person, like that could be that person. It's just like it's such an incredible story. Obviously, the end result was Nike, which we are pretty far away from. But in terms of the stories they tell and the characters they share, it was just a huge inspiration. So if you haven't read it yet, I highly recommend it.
It's a great book. Love it. Love both those. I can't wait to read that first one, Xander. Added it to my Goodreads account. So, Parker, I'll be giving you the lowdown after I finish it. But, boys, it's been an hour already. But you're fast on the draw, Parker. Nice. Guys, our last and final section of Elevation Nation, our favorite section, this new segment we like to call your mental motto. So we've talked a lot about life, young adulthood as guys, working, entrepreneurs, trying to find our path, our purpose. And so we ask everyone that comes on Elevation Nation to share with us a phrase or a mantra that they want to live by for this year. We call it your mental motto. So I don't know if you guys are prepared. If you need a minute, feel free. But we're excited to hear your mental motto. So who wants to start us off?
You go for it. I got one.
So one that I love is live life with a compass, not a map. I think living with a map is hey, here's my destination, and I'm going to pick the exact route I am going to do to get there. And the thing about that is, man plans and God laughs. I don't think it's good to live life with a map, rather a compass. Figure out your values and make sure you're headed in the right direction. So you don't need to necessarily know what your route is, what your end destination is, but know that you're headed in a good direction and live with a compass, not a map.
Beautiful. Thank you, Xander. All right, Ryan, you're up.
Sure. No, that was great. A hard act to follow. I think Xander touched on this a little bit, but it's definitely something I really try to keep top of mind, and I call my mental motto right now. But it's celebrate the small wins. I think we've learned a lot in these last 3 years that this is a long process, and hopefully, if things go well, it will continue to be a way longer process. And you're going to get fatigued, whether it's trying to start a new bag or some other venture or endeavor in life. If it's important to you, it's going to be long. It's, the old saying, Rome wasn't built in a day. Like it's really true. So I think to keep you going and to keep you happy and encouraged, you have to look at every little milestone and take a second to either just like acknowledge and say, we got there. This was a goal of ours, and not just focus on the next thing, the end game. Like Xander said, our first goal ever was just to create a physical product, and we did that. And we're like, all right, cool. How do we make this better? But we're like, wait a second. Like, we just spent a year creating this. But like I said, I think it can be used in anything in life, any goal, any lifelong kind of dream you're trying to achieve. And I just say celebrate, acknowledge, take a second to pat yourself on the back, and then keep going.
I love that. Because life is made up 99.9% of the small things. It's the big things that come not so often. Our days are mostly filled with small things. So if you're sitting around, you're waiting for the big things and they never come, what are you waiting for? appreciate those little things, those little wins, whether it's even waking up in the morning, whether it's being able to get to the gym, whether it's being able to have all your gym clothes, all your work clothes, all in one bag. Like those small things, or maybe launching, that's a big win, right? Or maybe selling whatever amount of bags. Sam and I, we're just on that journey. And by celebrating those small wins, you appreciate things a lot more, I think. So I appreciate you guys giving your mental mottos. Those are special. They're awesome. And it's fun getting two of them in the same conversation. But it is the end of the conversation. We've been going for an hour. I just want to say you guys are absolutely killing it. You guys are doing something that is super inspiring. Not everyone can say they've been doing something for a year. You guys have been doing it for 3, on top of absolutely crushing it at your full-time job, still living life to the fullest. Like, that is what it means to be an elevator. Someone who understands where they want to go, understands what they bring to the table, and they go. They hold themselves accountable because they want to. They want to elevate, and they go and do it. They go out and they make something happen. And for you guys, it was building a bag that's going to make people's lives better. So Sam and I are super pumped to see where you guys go with your launch and where everything goes next. And on behalf of Sam and myself, can't thank you enough for joining Elevation Nation.
Seriously, can't thank you guys enough for having us on. It's been super fun. We knew the conversation would be great. I've learned through this conversation, so thank you guys for the super interesting questions. And this was a real pleasure.
Yeah, no, you guys are. We absolutely love what you're doing. One of the best parts of this whole journey has been meeting people like yourselves who are just passionate about something and running with it and trying to make something, whatever that is, and getting to know you and having the chance to chat with you guys and share our story and hear more about what you're doing at Elevation Nation it's what makes what we've been doing so fun. So love what you're doing, and just stick with it, keep crushing it, and we're excited to see where you guys go as well.
Appreciate it, fellas. Elevation Nation. Until next week, peace. Yo, that was awesome, guys.